I'm Sean Cole. This is the Simpit, and today we're going to do something just a little bit different than normal. I think all the videos we create and all of them lead to great suggestions, comments, and questions from you, the viewers out there. I often at the end of the video will think of things that I didn't cover, I wish I had said during those reviews or videos, and I only wish I could come back to them later. Or sometimes I'm even lucky enough to hear back from the developer who will add comments, suggestions, or even corrections to the videos. I think about what I do here at the Simpit, and I really am a jack of all trades, so to speak, in that I probably know a little bit more about everything as a broad spectrum in sim racing than most people out there. However, there are people who are dedicated to each and every product we review, so while I might test it for a few weeks or a period of time, they use those products 365 days of the year, and they are specialists and they know far more, making them masters of that trade or that product. So when I hear back from them, I want to be able to relay that information back to you. So here we are for our viewer questions, our omissions or corrections that we need to make, and just secondary thoughts or things that we've learned about videos we've made in the most recent period of time. So looking back in time, one of our most recent videos was BeamNG, and it was a video that I actually kind of joked around and said that I hadn't even known about this game. Reality, I did know about BeamNG, I just hadn't played it myself and we hadn't featured it here in the show, and I kind of played into it, but it did lead to a few comments. I also want to thank Sapphire Dragon and YNFU, who both pointed out that many times in the review I called it an arcade game, and it isn't really. It is an arcade game in the way it played, and that's the way I think I referred to it or why I referred to it that way, because it is so much fun, like putting in a quarter and being at the arcade and just getting fun factor bang for your buck when you're playing it. Now the reality is, and both of those people pointed out to me, BeamNG is a very physics-based game, as much physics-based as any of the most hardcore simulations you're going to be playing, making it a full-on simulation, and there are settings that can adjust the game, anything from playing like an arcade to turning off all the driver aids and having the full open physics that you're dealing with while playing it. And in my testing, I actually did play it mostly with all the driving aids turned off, and again, I think it was more referring to it for the fun factor more than anything else. Now, another thing that was pointed out by Nevertheless and a few others, I think, now that I think about it, was the lack of multiplayer. I stated that it had a lack of multiplayer. There is multiplayer within the game, or I should say, a mod is available called BeamMP. This allows for player matchups or player lobbies on reliable servers. I have not tested this yet, but I have heard great things about it, and even racing on laser scan tracks. Another couple quick tips that were pointed out. Alt F4 pointed out that you can actually reset the car. So if you've damaged it and you just want to reset or respawn right there on the spot, there is a button that can be mapped to your controller or a button on the keyboard that you can press and respawn immediately without having to bring up the wheel and reset all the conditions. In addition to that, it was Cool Clips Animation who actually pointed out you can race against the AI. This is done with the center wheel and having the AI chase you, I guess. However, it didn't work out that well for me, as some of the cars actually went the wrong way on the track. I've also seen some scripting that can be done to control the AI, but I have not tried this out either, as it looks like it takes quite a bit of work, but it could be done. And not necessarily related to this video, but Gabriel Matos pointed out that my videos tend to be a little bit too long, and I couldn't agree with you more. It's something I've been working on over the years. I always have so much to say. I just need to trim it down to just that fun factor for the videos themselves. So now let's move on to automation, and I will say that automation, the review of automation happened because of BeamNG. As I learned about the game, I learned about the automation integration into the game, and it inspired me enough to immediately want to play that game. After the review, I was lucky enough to hear back from Robert, who's one of the devs himself, who actually loved our review, loved our critiques, and he actually addressed a few of them, like the user interface. He said it's something that they're working on, trying to get better. In addition to that, the lack of the eye candy to make the career mode a little bit more engaging or fun or even easier to see or understand what's going on. So it was great to hear back from them, and it was great to hear that they took it on the chin when it came to taking my critiques and taking them in stride and agreeing with them and looking to the future instead of just automatically being defensive. He also addressed one of my issues with the car building phase, where I was having problem putting interior pieces where I wanted them to be. This was also pointed out by one of our viewers with a comment by Kaylee, who mentioned that all you had to do was switch it from 2D to 3D mode, and then you have total freedom to put any of the smaller parts or pieces wherever you want. When you're doing big body pieces, it's better off to be in 2D mode, but when you're doing smaller pieces, you're going to be better off with 3D mode, or you can switch as you need to get the exact placement on the cars that you want. In that comment, he also mentioned that you can change the car's trim model in the upper left-hand corner, meaning that when you're doing a facelift, the new car can reflect the proper model year. In the case of all those comments, they led to getting a little bit more out of both BeamNG and Automation. So thank you guys for those comments. It definitely added to it. And if you're playing those games, I hope you'll learn from them as well. Now, when it came to the Trak Racer TR8 Pro, I had some straight up questions that I wanted to answer. So Paul Dyer asked about the seat sliders, wanted to know if the sliders were included with the base rig, and they definitely are, including the side brackets for most racing seats with side bolt attachments. And then it was Clicker Snapper who asked about the caster wheels and could you use them on the TR8 Pro model? And the answer is yes, you can. On the bottom, under the rubber feet, there are M10 threaded holes, so any M10 caster wheels would work, and Trak Racer sells their own. It's a set of 6 that only costs $46. They didn't give an exact measurement, but I would assume it raises the whole rig up about 4 inches, which would probably be a good thing. Now, in addition to our questions, we also get comments. And it was Maximilian K who talked about the pedal deck wiggle or wobble or flex, which I did mention in the review, and he said that it actually only happens when you push the pedals all the way forward, and he actually added a piece of metal to support the bracket, and I thought that's brilliant. You could probably use a 2x4 or a 2x6 or a piece of metal, anything you could wedge under the deck once you have it at the right angle and the right position, and you could pretty much cure that from ever happening again. So again, the point of this whole show was to make sure that we cover all of our bases. I want to make sure the Simpit is always giving you the best information, even if it means correcting some of my own mistakes or anything that I think about later that I think you need to know about, or when the masters of our trade come to our rescue and come in with great questions, comments, and suggestions on our videos. So thank you to everybody who's ever put a great question, comment on one of our videos, and I'm going to make sure to look for them in the future, and periodically we'll go through a few videos just to make sure that we've covered them all. So I hope you've enjoyed this concept of this show. It's going to be a little bit rough around the edges. It's just here to make sure we've done everything we can. Thank you for watching. Be sure to thumbs up if you enjoyed what we did. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you can find out when our next video comes out. This is the Simpit. I'm Sean Cole, and I'll see you on the track.